Would you like to have bigger muscles? A smaller prostate? Would you like to avoid the flu, diabetes, asthma? Are you depressed? Do you have PMS? Would you just like to live longer? Well, I have Peppermint Patty's Rejuvenating Reptile Potion here, and it's only $69.95 today, and you can pay for it in 3 easy, oops. Well, don't worry, I'm not really here to sell you anything. I have been a nurse for over 20 years, and in the last several years I've sent out an email I call my health alerts. I have sent out so many health alerts about vitamin D that I have been dubbed the Vitamin D Queen. If you Google vitamin D, you will get about 19 million results. But don't worry, I'm not going to tell you about all of them today. I'm just going to tell you a few interesting facts about this remarkable vitamin, some theories that are and studies that are going on, and how and where you get it. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin. It comes from sunshine. It's the UVB rays from the sun on your bare skin manufacture vitamin D in your body. Once absorbed, vitamin D is transported and converted in your liver, and then it's sent to your kidneys. And in your kidneys, there's 2 pathways. The first pathway is the pathway that regulates your blood calcium levels. And this is very important. Without that, you would die. And that pathway is the dominant pathway. You have to have enough vitamin D coming in, and it will take all you can, that you'll take in. The second pathway is only activated when you have an excess amount of vitamin D in your body. And that pathway goes to your tissues. According to John Cannell, he's the head of vitamindcouncil.org, that's where things get really interesting, because vitamin D is a potent steroid hormone. It's the most potent one in your body. And when it's converted and goes to your tissues, it has the ability to affect your genes. It can turn on genes and can turn off genes. It can turn on the genes that fight cancer. It can turn off the genes that cause cancer. Over the last 20 years, vitamin D levels in the general population have decreased dramatically. According to Progress in Cardiovascular Nursing, we've had dramatic increases in all age groups. 3/4 of adults are deficient, and that's according to Dr. Gindi of the University of Colorado School of Medicine. A recent study in pediatrics was done on 6,000 children and found that 7 out of 10 children are deficient. So, vitamin D has a profound impact on disease and other body functions. So why do we care, though, if we're deficient? Well, remember those 2 pathways. If you're deficient, you don't have an excess amount of vitamin D that can go to your tissues where it can fight diseases and cancer. There's multiple studies that have been done on vitamin D and diseases, like, for instance, asthma. There's a study going on that suggests that if you take in adequate doses of vitamin D when you're pregnant, there's a decreased incidence of childhood asthma when your children are born. Vitamin D has been shown to be effective against depression, and a lot of people suffer from depression in areas that have a lot of cloudy days. Seasonal affective disorders one. There's a 14% decrease with people when they have adequate vitamin D levels. Right now, everybody's concerned about the flu. Well, there's a lot of good studies that are looking at the fact that we get the flu in the wintertime, and that's when our vitamin D stores are at the lowest. In fact, a friend of mine, Mark Swanson, is a naturopathic doctor in Washington State, and he even treats people with the flu with high doses of vitamin D when they start showing flu symptoms. There's a really good study all over the world about MS. In areas that have more cloudy days, you have more incidence of MS. If you look at the map, here's a map of the United States. The lower sunnier states, the lighter colored areas, have a lower incidence of multiple sclerosis. The higher north you go, the higher the incidence they will have of MS. And that's not just for the United States, that's worldwide. Closer to the equator is a lower incidence. Other studies are looking at low vitamin D levels and increased PMS, stroke, cancer, high blood pressure, and overall mortality. Mortality is your overall death rates. People with low vitamin D levels have higher mortality than people that have adequate levels. The US RDA states, that's the people that tell us how much we should have in our vitamins, that 400 IUs a day is enough as international units. John Cannell, also of the Vitamin D Council, says that study was a flawed study, and it's being challenged by researchers all over the world. A kind of a rule of thumb is that you should take about 25 IUs per pound of body weight. So a 200-pound man would need about 5,000 IUs a day. You can get vitamin D from dietary sources, like a cup of milk has about 100 IUs, serving of salmon about 400, and good old cod liver oil has about 1,300 per tablespoon. Sunshine is still one of the most effective ways to get vitamin D. If you're outside in the sun with bare skin, no sunscreen, bathing suit, summertime, 20 minutes, you can absorb about 20,000 IUs in 20 minutes. Dr. Cannell goes on to suggest that you should have your vitamin D levels tested. Ask the doctor to check it. Most accepted is that under 30 is deficient, over 30 is normal. But Dr. Cannell points out that unless you get your levels up about 40 or 50, you will not have any excess, and the excess is what you want because you want that transported to your tissues. He suggests that a range between 50 and 80 would be optimal. Well, we've learned a little bit about vitamin D. It's optimal to good health. Low levels of vitamin D can lead to a deficiency, which can lead to depression, and scientists are looking at its relationship to diseases. People with adequate levels have less chance of dying, and your levels are determined by a blood test. If you desire more information, you can check out vitamindcouncil.org. Thank you. You have been a delightful audience.